and welcome to another video by Perfect Scores. This is Preetinder Kaur, and in this grammar video we are going to cover three kinds of pronouns. Let me write them down. One is demonstrative, one is indefinite pronouns, and the other one is distributive pronouns. Now let's look at the following sentence. This is a gift for me. Or that is my apartment. Or those are my friends. Now observe one thing. The pronouns, these ones, this, that, and those, they're used to point out the objects to which they refer. That is why they're called demonstrative pronouns. So let's have a list of these demonstrative pronouns. This, and in plural, these, that, singular, and plural will be those. So these are demonstrative pronouns because they point out the subjects to which they are referring. So this is a gift for me. So imagine you're looking at, let's say, a box, and you say, this is a gift for me. So this refers to the box, which is the gift. So let's move on to another example. And before another example, let's look at this sentence. This book is mine. Now in this case, instead of just using this, I'm also adding a noun. So that means this word is describing this noun. So whatever describes a noun is known as an adjective. So in this case, or in these kind of sentences, these four words, this, these, that, and those, they get converted into demonstrative adjectives. So it basically depends on the usage. There's no clear fixed rule that this is a pronoun or this is an adjective. It totally depends on how it is used in the subject, in the sentence. And similarly, you can use words like those. Those people are here. Or these people are asking something. And what about this kind of example? Alcohol and tobacco are both injurious. This perhaps less than that. So clearly, if you have two sentences, one mentions the alcohol first and then the tobacco, and the next sentence uses this and that. So this will refer to the first one and that will refer to the second one. So this is again more like common sense. So that is what we mean by demonstrative pronouns. So let's go ahead and learn something about indefinite pronouns. If you've gone through the video on articles, you might know what's the difference between definite and indefinite. So definite means you know something specific. Indefinite means it can refer to anything. For example, one can hardly watch the movie. Now try to figure out what is the pronoun in this case. Or let's say, none of his poems are well known. Let's say all were present. Few escaped unhurt. Nobody was there to save the kid. Nobody was there to save the kid. Or some are born great, or some are born leaders. Now observe one thing, all of these pronouns, one, none, all, few, nobody, some, these are known as indefinite pronouns because they refer to persons or things in a very general way, but not in a specific way. They don't mention anyone in particular or any person or thing in particular. One more way of knowing whether the pronoun in front of you is an indefinite one or not. Indefinite pronouns are usually a combination of words like some, any, no, and every. For example, somebody, some pen, some person, so body, place, sometime, somewhere, someone, something. These combinations are also indefinite pronouns. Alright, let's take another example where these pronouns are actually used as adjectives. For example, I will take you there one day. There are three pronouns in this case, I, you, and one. But look at this. The last one is actually describing a noun. And what do we call those words that describe nouns? We call them adjectives. So one is being used as an adjective here. Or let's take another example. He is a man of few words. And there are two pronouns, he and few. But what is this? Few, the last one, is actually referring to a noun. So over here it's not acting as a pronoun. Here it's acting like an adjective. So some of these words can also be used as adjectives. Again, it depends on how the word is being used. There is no clear-cut rule. Then there's another rule that you need to know, which is that whenever you refer to anybody or everybody, each, anyone, etc., the pronoun he or she is used according to context. There's no clear-cut rule that you always have to use he, or you always have to use she, or you have to use him or her. For example, everyone can do his homework, or everyone can do her homework. So it actually depends on the context, the meaning of the sentence. There is no clear-cut rule. So usually what happens is, if you see something in a formal way, it will be written like this. Everybody has to do his or her homework. So instead of picking only one based on the meaning, the writer of the sentence has picked both of them, and what you need to do is just put a slash. And that is what we need to do about this kind of pronoun, which is indefinite pronoun. And the last pronoun that we need to cover in this video is distributive pronouns. So let's look at what distributive pronouns are. Now the name suggests something related to distribution. Let's see whether that happens or not. For example, each of them gets a prize. Either of them will come. Neither of the questions is easy. Now these words, each, either, neither, these three are known as distributive pronouns because they refer to persons or things one at a time. So they actually distribute it. And that is why they are always singular. So this is a big thing that you need to remember, a very important thing. They're always singular. That's why we're saying each of them gets a prize, not get a prize. Or neither of the questions is easy. We're not saying neither of the questions are easy. They're always singular. And they're always followed by the verb, which is again singular. So that's obvious. If the subject of the sentence is singular, the verb should also be singular. So let's look at what is the difference between these ones. Especially, let's look at what each does. Now, each refers to every one of a number of persons or things taken individually. Each of you has to come, so each one of you. Okay, so now the position of the pronouns should be noticed, and it can have three different positions of a pronoun. That is what we have to do next. There are three positions at which you can place a pronoun. For example, each of the girls received an appraisal or an appraisal letter. You can also say the girls received each an appraisal letter. The third position, the girls receive an appraisal letter each. Now, all three of them are correct, all these three positions, but you'll notice that usually we use the first or the third one. We usually don't use the second option. Now, the third one is usually after a number. Okay, so here it is. It's usually after a number. For example, you're talking about one appraisal letter. Like let's say 5 each or 3 each. So that is absolutely correct. So these are just three of the positions and they're actually all three correct. Now let's look at one more example. The two men hated each other. And another example. They cheated one another. Now try to observe the difference between them. Now each and one, they actually belong to the subject. Each and one, they actually belong to the subject. Other and another are objects. And they're rarely separated even by a preposition. They're usually used next to each other. Now the difference is each other is used whenever you have two persons or things that are being compared. And if you don't know the number or if it's more than two, then you go with one another. So that is the basic rule that you need to follow in this case. And that is all for this video. And I hope you might have taken down some notes. Just try and practice this. Try to make sentences on your own so that you get into the practice of writing correct English. And that's all for this video. Thank you so much. If you have any doubts, any questions, don't forget to mail us at support@perfectscores.org. Thank you so much.